Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And once again, I'm just going to try to ground, normalize magic, living the magical life. Um, and I call myself, right now, in my current evolution of magic, I say I'm an atheist wizard. Uh, because through my whole journey in life, magic, I feel like there's so much religion put into magic. Like, people need beliefs in order to do something. And for me, if there's like a belief system installed, um, and that belief, they obviously think is the truth or the way. So I feel like science is a belief system. In my mind, science has kind of become a religion, and no one wants to break it down to its fundamental principles of observation and application. But when you leave it at its bare roots, that's science. But what we make science into is belief. Like, science tells you the way things work and why. Well, before science, wasn't religion doing that? Telling you the way things work and why. And so, in my mind, religion and science, when it's turned into an organization, a system, when it's, where it's institutionalized, um, it's agreements, and then it has its place, but by but when it creates itself into a structure, it then has to um, kind of like turn a blind eye to all the other possibilities. Like in religion, it doesn't exist unless they say so. In science, it doesn't exist unless they say so. There's like this authority, and I also find it's people making up the rules of the universe. You know, it's it's based on the human level of understanding. And so once again, it's limiting for something greater or even something more simple to come through. So, usually with a belief system, people graft themselves on with an identity. They say, I'm a Christian, I'm a scientist, I I'm a seeker of truth, you know, I believe this, I believe that. And so there's this whole other uh, thing going on. And then people have a really hard time just getting back in their body, just being present with themselves, sitting on the earth, and accepting life as it is. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the profane, you know. So I actually think the dualistic model of reality we live in is a religion. So it's like a belief, and then people go, oh yeah, that's how reality is. And so magic, in a really weird way, is the opposite of that. Magic says, I do not know what's out there. I probably can't even define it. And up can be down, and down can be up, and inside can be outside. And so, for me, the reality of magic is the opposite of what mainstream people are pushing magic as it is. It's the opposite of that. So, Western magic is you need to grab a candle, you need to chant a prayer, you need to cast a circle, do it on a certain phase, you know, to get results. You need to summon a deity, a spirit, an angel, a demon. Like, all that is so much doing. And obviously, you want something, so it's based on desire. And so, people are like, okay, how am I going to develop my magical powers? Well, I must need something. I must need and want. Then I must go about it, you know, creating an action based upon my mythical source book of truth. Whether it's the Bible, whether it's your textbook, you know, or whether it's your grimoire. Like, do you see the pattern? How things look different on the outside, but it's like all the same game. Magic is a little bit different than that. And on one level, I just can't go down that road. So I was hanging out with this local witch that I met at Michael's craft store, of all places. That should have been my first red flag, you know? But no, I was happy-go-lucky. And we started talking, and then blah, blah, blah. Then pretty soon, you know, I ended up over at her house. And then she was like, I'm a high priestess, and here's all this stuff, you know? Seasons, timings, and all this stuff. And I'm like, really? I do like the opposite way. She's like, you can't do it that way. Like, this is the truth. This is the way of magic. I'm like the high priestess of the local group in Salt Lake City in our magic coven, and we're so. And I was like, okay, time to leave, time to be quiet, time to go. You know, I felt like I was in a Jehovah Witness's house, like, or something. You know, I felt like I was in like a religious person's house. And because they have a set rule system, if you're going to do magic, it's going to look like you broke the rules. Okay? So, this is like fundamental. You have to be able to break the rules of reality to perform magic. So, like religion and like science and like whatever, we have these rules, you know, laws that govern gravity, you know, aging, you know, like all sorts of stuff. There's biological rules. And yes, that's the truth. And then you have to somehow be able to transcend it, go beyond it. You have to overcome those limitations. Those limitations are the rules and laws that overpower you unless you're greater than that. You have to become greater than those set rules. Yeah, so obviously, so she didn't like it so much. She went back into like a witch war with me about, you know, she felt offended, she felt attacked, she couldn't even understand, here was someone else who is so fluid, so free, so abstract, so beyond the rules, beyond that belief system. It was like what an atheist is going for. The atheist is really going for, I'm resisting all this rules and story and superstitious myth making you guys are all doing. Because on some instinctual level, I know that there's more. And I know it's probably, I can't define it or grasp it. And so there's the positive side of atheism. It's not just to be resistant. It's not just to, I mean, we see everyone doing this all the time. People say and do whatever to justify these hidden urges. You know, some people just don't want to look at themselves and look at reality. So they might hunker down and tribe up and wear the banner of atheist, because then they don't have to acknowledge something in themselves, in society, and in reality. So it could be a way to blind yourself, to blindly maybe even harm others. That would be the negative application of atheism, of not believing in God, which means everything, not believing in anything. So, you can take it to the negative polarity, but we never really see it uplifted into the positive polarity. So when you say infinite potential, in one way you're saying atheist, because you're also saying unlimited. It's so unlimited, it's not defined. If it's not defined, how can you even grasp it to place a belief or a structure on it? So, in a weird way, it's pure. So, anything is possible is a way to be open-minded. And so, the wizard uses everything as a tool. So I've been using atheism as a tool to untie mental knots in belief systems, in structures, and to unsubscribe from bullshit. That's the positive use of atheism. It creates a breath of fresh air. It doesn't suffocate the mind and frees up your energy. So it leads you to liberation and the Buddhist path. Being like a clear mirror without distortions, and maybe hopefully take it one step farther to be an empty mirror. So this is something I find very interesting. There's like a Taoist, like poem or thought somewhere I picked up along my journey, and it talked about the tiger looking in the mirror, mistaking it for someone else, and attacking it. So, but when you're a Taoist, when you are the infinite Tao, you become an empty mirror. There is no reflection. So when the tiger looks in the mirror, it doesn't see itself. It doesn't see another, and therefore it doesn't attack. And to me, that's like high level martial arts right there. Can you learn to become an empty mirror? Can you push pause on the way you think and feel? So, all this stuff is coming towards you from the outside environment, and you are doing that as well. You are going towards everything else. You know, you're projecting out, and everything out is projecting in. And can you feel those sensations and control it and push pause? You're like, okay, I'm being triggered. That person looks or sounds or feels or acts a certain way, or I feel like I need to be reactive. It's calling my attention. Can you release it in your gut? You feel those feelings, triggers. We all get triggered, or should I say, tickled by life. Life is constantly tickling you, and it's asking for you to tickle back. That can be exhausting. You know, can you learn to push pause on that thought in your head, that train wreck of a line of thought, those tangents that you go on? Can you push pause on the emotions? The emotions, the thoughts, the emotions, and the looping. Can you break the chain? I feel like that's high level magic right there. So I'd say low level, external magic is very uh, externalized, but inner magic, the inner circle, the inner quest, that becomes high level magic. You're like, wow, my body is reacting. My body is feeling. So you're not repressing anything. You accept it, and you can even like totally dismantle it and unlabel it and erase, just let it flow through you, and then not get stuck in it and not make it your story, not make it your identity. Now you're making the mirror clear. You don't see a you or a me in there. You're becoming truly transparent. You're cleaning the lamp. So the hermit is the magician. The hermit is the fool. So the tarot deck could be called the Fool's Journey. And I think we kind of get caught up in the images, being male, female, young and old, happy and sad. But it's one character playing all the parts. So I was thinking about creating my own deck and making all the characters wear the Fool's uniform, which was like yellow and kind of like, it's like he's like in a yellow tunic, I believe, with some like fringe on it and stuff like that. Because in my mind, the hermit is wearing a yellow robe, and he's like in lotus position as a wizard floating in the sky. And with kind of like a mercurial sparkle in his eyes. Kind of like yeah. So I was like, that image keeps coming to me. Kind of started going on a tangent right there. Sorry. Yes, becoming a clear mirror, emptying, meditation, self-mastery, being the sage, So some people have a real agenda. I need to fight. This says something about me. A lot of what people do with anything and everything. So what learning to push pause when you feel that need to defend yourself in a debate, prove people right or wrong, prove a theory right or wrong, join up in a group because you all believe in something right or wrong and you're passionate about it, like, which I feel is very Western. And you know, I feel like a lot of group activity is like a whole bunch of validation seeking. You're in that group to validate beliefs, to validate agreements, to make them stronger, to make your reality real. And so it's religion again. You can now call your group, your little coven, a congregation. And then to top it all off, you have a high priest and a high priestess. So you have an authority figure. God forbid, either you're the authority figure and you have your flock to validate you, or you're part of the flock and you have a preacher and the rest of them to validate you. So I feel like a lot of organized group activity is feeling safe in a herd, which in my mind is religion and organizations and mass brainwashing, and you sign up for it. And the conversation, so this is leading us to something very important: the inner gate of personal power, and why I choose now, through all my observations and interactions, solitary witch, the hermit, up in the mountains, in a cave, away from the people, not reliant on books, not reliant on authorities, not reliant on manuscripts and papers. We don't need someone like Graham Hancock telling us how Egypt was. We don't need some scientist telling me what a million light years away something is. All the knowledge comes to you when you're empty. So, the ability to become empty, the universe then fills you up. So your third eye is basically a void or a black hole. And if you can access the black hole in your third eye, you suck it all in. And what you're sucking in is all that information you're absorbing. The goddess is a black hole, the dark goddess, the third eye. It's a feminine faculty, intuitive abilities. And then once you absorb it all, it becomes the male principle. And it stimulates and it activates. And it's like a laser beam or fiery flames, like when Shiva opens his third eye and so anyways, the greatest teachings is going to come through your personal experience, and you don't want it tainted by passionate beliefs and robust logical theories and half-baked truths and evidence and half-baked statistics. And sometimes you just have to shut the book, throw it away, go for a walk, and experience the earth, experience the air, experience the intelligence in everything, and become one with it without all the bells and whistles, without all the conversations, without all the other people. You need like a pure experience of reality. You need a pure experience of yourself. So there's a point on your journey when you go into your meditation. All that needs to be revealed is revealed. Everything, all your dysfunctions, all your problems, it shows up clearly within yourself. And the solutions, they show up. You just being in the nothing, being a clear mirror, being an empty mirror, being the Tao, being the third principle. So yin and yang dualistic model can only be supported by the Tao, which is a unity model. It's the third element, you know? It's profound. And being in the profound, the more you're there, the more you know. And the more you you're then at the next level of your development. And so it's like a purification. You have to you have to fast. You have to go on a diet of people, of information, of everything. You know, I go on media diets all the time. Like, I haven't watched Netflix for months just to give my mind a break. I've gone on a diet from friends and family. I've whittled down my friend group to like one person. Like, me and her do a lot of fun things together, but I can only support like one or two people in my life. You know, the job sucks up the rest of the energy. Uh, but that's really what it is. So your time becomes very precious. So you don't have time to play magical battles with people. You don't have time to get in debates. You don't have time to go hang out with aliens all the time and explore the universe. You can do all that when you're young. But there's a point where you realize you only have so much life left in you, you know? There's only so much time. There's only so much energy in a day and in a lifetime. So you have to become very economical with your resources, what conversations. So I think aging and death can really, really make you a master of ruling your faculties, your mind, your body, your energy, the inner work. So get empty, get clear, become undefined, which basically dump off all your emotional baggage, quit attaching yourself to people, place, things, and ideas. You know, set yourself free inwardly. And I think a lot of your work will be this clarification process, this alchemy of releasing and undefining and softening the character that you've so firmly built of yourself. You know, your ego identity. Let it break, let it dissolve. Die within yourself, basically. Kind of like the caterpillar into the butterfly. The caterpillar goes into its cocoon, or, you know, and then it dissolves into a liquid, and then it basically reconstructs and comes out as a butterfly, a whole new creature. But it gets completely dissolved into a goo, like some living plasma like goo. You have to do that. And maybe more than once or twice. You have to go into your feelings as an emotional being. Like, that's what I had to do. I kind of put all my emotions on pause. I couldn't process them. They were like bigger than me. And that's natural. And so where did it all go? It went into my body, it went into my bones, it crystallized into aches and pains and heaviness. You know? And releasing it, it was a tremendous amount of loss and grief. Just letting it move through you till it becomes just energy and a release of meaningless energy. Like, it's just a noise screaming through the universe. It's just a truth. It's part of the human experience. So, there's a point where psychotherapy, I'm telling you, is no good for you. And that's when you can process yourself. So knowing yourself, being with yourself, being, really with yourself can be this alchemy transformation from the caterpillar into the butterfly. You transmute your history, you transmute your identity, you transmute energy, and you are like rebirthed and you come out fresh and new. And that's high level magic, because magic is creating change according to your will. When you master it and you master the inner processing, there's no outer tools. So it becomes advanced psychology, advanced energy work, and you're the master of it. So it's like, doctor, heal thyself. Wizard, wizard thyself. You do know the solutions to all of your problems because you created all your problems. So, ownership. And no more outsourcing. No more facilitators and practitioners to help you. There has to be the day, instead of outsourcing your spirituality to an angel or a god, you insource it from the source within you. You didn't call it source, you didn't call it Jesus, you didn't call it God, you didn't call it whatever. Those aren't your sigils. Those aren't yours. You're borrowing someone else's truths, someone else's magical system. So you have to learn, then you have to fucking unlearn. Yes, I said it. And you have to unlearn everything to get to the real magic, the real power, And it's awesome. Less doing, more being, Really understand Zen. Go